Hey, this is the Daycare podcast coming at you tonight with your two regular hosts, Mr. Nipples and Dick, and we have our special guests from Mission Zero here tonight.
Hey guys.
We have Belen and Mrs. Belen, Danielle Belen.
Hey.
So, well, I should say Jose. I call him Belen, but
Yeah, man.
uh, yeah, Belen and I go back a long way. We served together. So,
Now he's out here fighting the good fight to get medical marijuana into the hands of veterans.
oh, that we're gonna finish the show with that because that story is so big that
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
take over the entire show. So, people have to wait to hear that interview. So, let's start with this, the mission of Mission Zero, actually. Let's start there. How's that sound?
All right, that's cool, man. So all in all, we sum it up with we need to end better suicide. So, our thing is to zero it out. Now the crazy thing is that, that 22 a day is not only veterans anymore, it's active duty. So we're in a position where we need to not only save lives, but give people reasons to live. So as an organization, we have a multifaceted approach to get that done.
Yeah. DOD right now is saying that the Army is at 24 a day, Marines are sitting around 27, Navy's lower around 21 to 22, and the Air Force is sitting at about 18.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying right now. Now, granted, those numbers are going to fluctuate depending on holidays and whatever, but those numbers are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
It's all bad. All bad.
it's unacceptable. Yeah. Dylan and I don't know if you guys remember, I'm sure some of our listeners do, there was a young man, active duty in Fort Riley, that all reports right now, there's an investigation going on, so this might change. But all reports are that he committed suicide. And Dylan and I were talking to his best friend of years today, and it's heartbreaking to talk to these people because they're so angry and they're so hurt and they're left here and they don't know what's going on and it's yeah. Sorry. These stories are just sorry, Bill, I didn't mean to step on your toes, man.
No, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
It's important to put out.
We have a guy coming on actually next week. He's a veteran himself, but when he was 17, his dad killed himself on the phone with him. And he's coming on to tell the story about the other side, the flip side of the coin, what it feels like to get left behind. So that's going to be a whew. But yeah, back to the positive side of what you're doing. I'm sorry, this mission that you guys started has become extremely important to us. I don't know if you've listened to our show lately, but that's how we spend the last 10 minutes on the air every time. So, yeah, June is Suicide Awareness Month. We'll be kicking that off. So, all right. Sorry, I stepped in your toes again. What else do you guys do over there at Mission Zero? I know you guys got some community out nights that you guys do.
Yeah, no. You were kind of fading in and out there. So yeah, June.
Oh shoot.
It's okay. June is PTSD, Awareness Month. So one of the biggest things for us is community outreach. The system that exists is too reactive instead of proactive. So Mission Zero is trying to change that to where we're putting ourselves out there, in a bigger way as possible, for the veterans to see us as a hub. And once they come to us, they see that we're partnered with the Miami VA. That's an example of something that we're doing on June 10th, next Monday. The Miami VA is having a major mental health awareness day and PTSD awareness day, and Mission Zero is going to be there working with them in tandem. because the current system that's in place is clearly not working. So we're fortunate enough to now have the ears of, the VA to start the conversation onto the changes and the real disruption that the system needs.
Yeah. I think that there needs to be a better bridge between the active duty side of things and the veteran side of things, and a smoother transition from point A to point B. I think that'll help a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we're rolling out here very soon, talking about that, is a mentorship program. For new recruits prior to entering basic training. Because what's the thing right now, how it's always been. You got the recruiter kind of telling you, hey, this is your best job. This is how you got to get ready. Blah blah blah. But there's something about a veteran, a group of veterans being able to take these young guys and really, train them psychologically, mentally, and with enough to once they get to basic training, they're already locked in. So if they're already going through psychological issues, PTSD from childhood traumas prior to service, we can at least start having the conversation now because we're still going through that affliction together. So when they get to basic training and they're getting chewed out, it's not hurting as much. So that's something that we're starting to do here soon to help the active duty.
Speaking of which, I need since you're on the line before we bring in. I hate to say it, man. I know I've known you for a long time, but you're better half because
Yeah.
I know that you've done a lot of amazing things, but I know that she's been a rock of yours.
Oh
So.
Man, she's mission. I'm zero.
there's a young
It's
man
adorable.
in Michigan City, a U.S. Coast Guard station in Michigan City. He's brand new, 19 years old, fresh into the Coast Guard. And they had a horrible mission last night, man. I'm not going to put names out there of this young man. He did his mission when he had to do his mission, but he broke down afterwards, and apparently it was really hard on him. But this guy just needs to hear from somebody else that's been in the shit.
Right.
That it's okay, because if you can do your mission when you have to, you can make it to the job.
Mm-hmm.
They had to pull a floater out, and the guy had been in the water for about 3.5, 4 months.
Sheesh.
And if he can just hear it from somebody like you, Dylan, that's okay. It's okay to break down after shit like that.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah.
You that's the best thing you can do. When they killed more out there, man, I never cried so hard in my life. And I've lost family and shit. But that pain is, and then it's okay to feel it.
Yeah, it's the best to feel it now.
That's part of the healing, man. That's the thing. That's the whole I have PTSD, but the PTSD doesn't have me mentality. It's, you're afflicted and it's okay.
Yeah, I think that's something that they need to change, is the way that we deal with things. Instead of saying, hey, bottle it up and deal with it later, deal with it as soon as the mission's over, so it becomes easier later to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, but let's bring in, just so you know, brother, out there in Michigan, that it's okay and we're all here for you. So, he actually works with one of our guys, Cutter. So, yeah, it's a big deal. It's hitting close, that's one of those things. All right, Danielle, let's bring you in here and let's talk about the support system that's vitally important to veterans.
Hey, yeah, it's definitely an integral part of the healing process, and like you said, being able to get you guys from point A to point B. So glad to be here.
You really are. You're about as modest as he is. You guys just don't take the credit you guys deserve, do you?
I guess not. I don't know. We're just still working on it day by day. So.
Dylan has always been the most humble man that, yeah. He's strong-headed, though.
Oh, yeah. That's okay, though. We're both Tauruses, so I lock horns with the best of them. So
Someday I'll have to tell you about the fight that put a strain on a friendship that was
No,
the dumbest thing in the world, I'm telling you.
not this guy.
But it turns out that I was right, wasn't I, Bill Lynn?
Yeah, man.
Oh man, that's the worst.
Man, I miss you a lot, man.
There was some shit going on, and he was trading his ass off. And well, you know what? We'll talk about it after the show.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to hear people hear that somebody but him was right. No. So I know that you do a lot of behind the scenes stuff helping him out. I know he's the face, but there's a lot that you do behind the scenes. Do you want to cover any of that at all, or?
Oh man, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Coach Jose.
Your first podcast.
No, it's crazy because up until recently, I honestly thought that I was the only one, and I started joining all these different military wives groups, PTSD caretakers, all these different things on Facebook, and you know, every day, like getting these notifications of, these wives, these women, these, family members, caretakers, support systems, saying and asking the same questions and things that I've said to myself for so long and just have tried to, figure out on my own. Because, like you guys, the system is broken for us too. There is no system for us, you know, and we're constantly being forced to rely on a VA healthcare system that when you don't know any better and you think that's the place to go for your veteran husband, and then you realize that trusting them could mean losing him.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, you know? So it's sink or swim for the most part. And I think that's a lot of the reason why I'm so passionate about Mission Zero is because I said, somehow we made it on the other side of this and so many other people don't. And if we can figure out what we did and duplicate that and get that message out there, then even if we save one person, it's worth it.
Talk about, though, how I hid it from you for a long time in the beginning of the relationship, and how that affected us once you found out. In case there's a veteran out there that
He's right.
is ashamed.
That's a story.
Yeah, honestly, like a lot of it I found out on my own because I had to kind of dig and get myself entrenched into that culture and that mindset. I had to bring out his military stuff, ask who this friend was, what a smoke was, what about this lieutenant? Why do you have this, memorial thing? And who are these people out in Texas that you go see? Let's go see them. Like I really had to understand that world, and it was hard for him because he didn't want to bring it up. He didn't want to bring that world back to life.
Yeah.
But you could tell that there was a need to come to a good place with it. There's one thing to be able to grow and learn and put a situation behind you. It's another thing to suppress and bury, and that overcomes you at some point. So things just started to come out, and as he started to break open and kind of release stories here and there, I could tell that it was a pain, farther than I could ever comprehend, but it wasn't my job to comprehend or dig or find out details. It was just my job to be there, and whatever that looked like. And I realized the more that I was just there, the more he was able to open up and heal to an extent. So it's just patience, man. I guess time.
That's love.
I don't know.
That's what that was. That was just.
And faith too.
Yeah.
You can't forget. You cannot forget that.
Yeah, it's a heck of a journey. It's
I think just to give some perspective on this, on where we started, the first time Jose told me that don't be afraid if you come home one day and my brains are splattered on the floor, I said, oh shit. This isn't a game, you know, something's really going on. And, you know, I remember the first time, and then there was a second time and a third time, and it became like this repetitive thing that would happen in arguments. Well, I'm just gonna frickin', you know, whatever. And I really, like, something grabbed hold of me, and I was like, Danielle, you can't fix this. And that was hard for me, right, as a wife, as a mother of his children, you know, to be able to come to a place where you know it's beyond you. And I remember him and I went out to dinner, and I sat down with him, and it was so early on in our relationship, and I wrote him a letter, and I said, you got to get help. I'll be here for you, but I'm not, you know, this is beyond me, you know. And he
Give me an ultimatum.
yeah, I told him, I said, I can't live with the idea that I could come home, or my son could come home at any point in time, and that would be there.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, we'll be here, but we gotta get help. And so it really, the pivotal point that started all of this was he was willing to meet me halfway and try to get help.
Has he ever told you that he was doing this mission before he ever knew it was his mission? Did you read that letter that I sent him?
No.
He'll tell you, anyone will tell you how important that unit is. The unit, your brothers, it's everything.
Mm-hmm.
You live it, you breathe it, you drink with the guys, you fight with them. I mean, literally fight. I lost 2 roommates that are still friends of mine, but we beat the snot out of each other. Another one, I lost track of him, but he was a little odd in the first, you know.
I heard there were some oddballs.
But, you know, we're all brothers. And,
yeah.
It's when my orders came down that I was, you know, they're sending me out because I've got a leg that's, it's only half useful.
Oh, I think he told me about that, your knee, right?
Yeah, and I still drag it around. I learned how to compensate, but I still drag it around.
Jeez.
And they decided they didn't want me there anymore. I was becoming a liability. And I was told that they were going to start my PEB and my career was done. They told me that straight up when they were sending me out. I was done.
Wow.
And to me, that was the end of my world. And I started saying my goodbyes to everybody, and, you know, my friend was out on guard. So I trekked my ass out to the back gate and said my goodbyes. And yeah, well, I was ready to leave that night, and Belen started talking to me, and yep, I'm still here. So that's not a story that I ever told anybody until I wrote Belen that letter.
Wow.
And so his mission started long before he ever started this mission.
Wow. Well, that's what, you know, for a long time, we just had a message, right? It started with, we'll just share our story, and hopefully by people just seeing that you can get through this, that'll, you know, inspire them to at least, you know, give themselves one more day. And it was so powerful to see how other veterans reacted when he shared his story, and the bond and the brotherhood, and how, you know, going out to Texas and being with the Moors that summer and seeing, 12, 15 guys that couldn't be any more polar opposite from each other, come together and talk about this one in the shitter and this one, doing this was important and trading freaking liquor for this, for the guy on the fence. And I mean, the guys just lit up, And here, Jose and I had just come off about a year of, VA bullshit pills, the therapies, I will say some of those therapies did work. They get the ball rolling, but it's not enough. You can't just open up that wound and just send that person out into the world. That's not okay. But seeing you guys come together, I said, this is where the power is. This is where we heal. Bringing you guys back together again is what's gonna, be that first step in really fixing this. So the message, the story turned into a message, and then the message turned into this mission, and here we all are, right?
Yeah. Has B ever told you the amazing fact that is beyond rare about Alpha 2-3?
Have you?
I never talked to. I still don't talk to her about much, man.
Well, did you know that we are one of the only units that deployed and has not had one single person that's a member of the 22?
Really?
That's a feat right there.
Wow.
So much.
We're all close.
I check in with my brothers damn near daily.
Wow.
And they do the same thing.
That's
If one of us
huge.
goes for a while, we dog each other until somebody gets hold of them.
Wow. It's a family, man. It's a family.
And I gotta say, Smoke Grantham is the one that put this family together.
That guy is awesome. He met a couple of friends of ours up in Washington, and they sent us a Facebook video last night. They're all out bowling together. I'm like, how the fuck does that happen?
Shout out to Smoke. No, Smoke, man, in 2017, he came out to Seattle Hempfest, and, it was so awesome to spend time with him and his wife. And then this year, I went up to speak at the Washington State Cannabis Policy Summit in January, and that's where I met Carlos Mullen for the first time from No Bad Days Ranch and Aaron. And we formed a partnership there, and who shows up? Smoke, right? So introduce Smoke to these guys, and now, I'm out of Florida, and those guys are out of Seattle, and, now they're all hanging out, going bowling together, and, Smoke is part of the Mission Zero and No Bad Days Ranch family, and there we have a power unit connection, right there, just off, pure brotherhood.
Smoke's been on the show 3 times, man.
That's a bad man.
And he is
that's Gunny Grantham.
Yep. Ask Mr. Nichols. He's a legend on this show. We get comments that the man's literally a legend.
Oh yeah, man. That dude, I go to hell twice with that fuckers with no ticket back.
Hey Nichols, you got any questions?
Nah, man, I'm just along for the ride right now. I'm enjoying the conversation.
You're about what, 4 or 5 drinks in, so you kind of relaxed and just.
Oh, I'm far past 4 or 5 drinks, my guy.
There you go.
I'm operating the systems right now.
There you go, man.
I'm focusing so hard on audio levels right now, it's about retarded.
Let's take the drinking aspect. I'm going to share a little story that's going to lead us into the mission that you have.
Man, yeah.
I could always tell watch stories about Pensacola because my watches down there were always the most fucking lively things I've ever done in the military.
We're going to have to do an episode just on those stories, because the story that you told us about the bush 2 episodes back.
Oh, God.
So, we won't tell that with the lady on the phone. But,
yeah, they're pretty much all like that. That was pretty much a regular Tuesday around there. So, like they said, they bring the smartest people in the Navy to bring ITs. They gather them all in one place, and we always come up with the best stupid shit to do.
Yeah. So there I was, right? And B can tell you that at any given time, I probably had $350, $400 worth of liquor or beer in my locker.
Yeah.
Just my room. And I'm probably a case and a half of beer in for the night. And I decided I wanted to go to a bar downtown Gießen. Well, I ended up losing a boot in one fountain, and I stuck my other boot on top of a statue that's, those crossroads be. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, of course.
Stupid brass things, yeah. Stuck another boot on there, and I stuck my pants on somebody else. Well, I wander up to the guard shack, and I don't have my wallet. I had to retrace my steps, find my pants, find my wallet, so I get back into the barracks. Ended up puking all the way up to the barracks, and in the morning, they were looking for somebody that's done some stupid stuff, puking all over toast, and I was not going to say a damn thing.
Right.
So anyhow, needless to say, with the amount of liquor that I kept in my room, in 2008, I decided it was time for me to get sober.
Right.
I ended up in the ER 3 times from withdrawal, and finally had to check myself into inpatient to get sober.
Wow.
I spent 30 days inpatient just to get sober because my body was shutting down from not having alcohol. So
That's rough, man.
I got out, and I didn't like the drugs they had me on, so I started smoking. And I'm not, I smoked weed before I got in the service, which of course, the paperwork says I didn't. But,
Right.
and I smoked some weed, and things got better. And then things happened, and I watched people get arrested, and I wasn't going to chance anything because I have kids.
Right.
So I decided I can't do it. And that right there is, is where we're going to bring in, kind of your stance on medical marijuana and all that. And
Right.
then I will, before we get into the big news, I'll tell you what I meant about watching my wife fall apart. Because, yeah. So, let's get into the medical marijuana part.
Okay. No problem, bro.
All right, this is your ball game, man.
All right. So, in regards to medical marijuana, let's just call it what it is. It's cannabis. And, one of the painful things to see on a daily basis is the government's lack of compassion when it comes to cannabis and its healing capabilities for warfighters like yourself, myself, and the 20 plus million veterans of this country that at a minimum should have access to that plant, let alone every sick child, patient, whoever may be out there. And so my advocacy for cannabis, and my fight to help deschedule and to really just fight for the people comes from the same place that, when we were boots on the ground in Iraq and it was time to do work and do business to take care of the oppressed and free them. That's no different here. The only difference is I'm having to stand up to my own country, but not with violence or any sort, just with the voice. And it's the voice of the voiceless. That's why it's so difficult for the government and why we are winning. Because when you have a righteous fight before you and you know good and damn well that there's people out there that, are invisible to the government that would be right beside you, that's why I do it, man. I do it for everybody else, We're already fucked,
Yeah.
we're 15 years deep, man, into this fight after Iraq, bro. It is what it is. So that's why this is so easy, because it's when it's beyond you, you just don't give a shit until you get the job done because it's for them.
Yeah.
And medical cannabis needs to be allowed.
Yeah.
That's my stance there, man.
We've never shied from that message on this show.
Yeah.
We've never shied from. Yeah. We have two missions on this show, and one of them is to stop the 22.
Yeah, man.
And the other one is there's far too many stories being lost, either from old age or from suicide or people losing their damn minds and they can't remember shit anymore.
Correct.
And that's what we're here for. We're here to record these stories and to give people a place to talk so that maybe we can stop this. And
we can, we can, but we have to understand that we have to be unorthodox.
Yeah.
And people are creatures of habit by nature. But in this fight, we have to unite. We have to do something that really we haven't done as a country in a long time, and is really band together, regardless of political party, color, creed, any of that shit. Because every American should want to see every American prosper. I want to see you eat, man. I want to help your children get their education. Fuck, if I got a spare $1 million, I don't need it. Let's help some people with it.
Yeah.
But that's not the mindset yet. But it can be. And that's why this matters, man.
We've got people of, I think, 4 or 5 different religions working on this show together.
Yeah.
3 different political backgrounds.
Correct.
We don't care. We've got a mission, and we're fighting for it.
Yeah. Put it to the side sometimes,
Well, that's what the unit's about.
Yeah.
Why not? Then that's why we're only military. The only exception we have about military personnel on the show is Scout. And Scout will be swearing in once he gets old enough to actually swear in. This kid started working with us when he was 16. He's 17 now, and at the end of the school year, actually in a few weeks here, now the school's over, he will be joining the early, what's it called, Nipples? The early what?
It's called DEPS. I forgot what it stands for, but it's where you get in early, study with a bunch of people, and they put you in a unit, and then you go. That's what I did.
Yeah, but he's going active instead of
reserves. Yeah.
Guard or whatever. But yeah, that's what he's doing, and this kid has been dedicated. He was big like me when he first contacted me, and he's making tape now, and he's damn near going to make weight. And this kid is an inspiration. He's running groups, getting kids to do the same thing. He's got a video or a vlog or whatever they call that crap, getting other kids inspired. It's amazing what this kid has done. So, Scout, that's a little push for you, man, because you deserve it.
That's outstanding. Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's cut from a different cloth. That's Patriot is born. So, congratulations, man.
Yeah, he's got what it takes, man. He reminds me of somebody who belonged in 2-3.
That's it, man. Yeah. This will defend.
Yeah. As far as the cannabis goes, man.
Yeah, man.
I told you I'd fill you this in, and you and I were talking a while back, and I said, it hurts watching my life fall apart.
Yes. It's.
We don't know why autoimmune diseases happen.
Right.
It's either a sickness or something happens in your life, or they don't know why. But after my son was born, my wife started getting really sick, and I'm talking stupid sick, man. And I've watched her go through excruciating pain, can't get out of bed, can't move, can't get out of the fetal position in days. And we got answers finally. She's got some kind of autoimmune that causes these weird growths on her. She's got another autoimmune called lupus, and she has a third one that is a very, very, very rare form of vasculitis that is usually only found in a small town in Norway. So that tells you how much they know about that one.
Right.
Well, she's on chemo because they have to kill her immune system. That's what they have to do. Okay? They have to destroy her immune system. And we live in a state that is run by a bunch of old men that are worried about the alcohol industry, and that's it.
Right.
It took them 3 years after we passed medical marijuana for the first dispensary to even open. And then they had to go back and took them another 6 months to change the way that veterans could get it. Because when it started, you had to see a doctor for a year in
Jesus.
established care outside the VA before you could even get it. Pay out of pocket because no insurance will cover it. Well, I'm watching my wife, and the pain is so awful. There's days that she wants it over. She just wants it to end, and I don't blame her. I'm watching her writhe, and I can't even imagine what she's going through, man. She's the vasculitis that she has. If it's not, they don't start treatment within 3 years of it presenting, you're dead.
Right.
And the one thing that she could use to actually help with the pain and the nausea and the horrific side effects,
Right.
you can't have because it's not allowed in this
No.
state. So people like you fighting the fight that you are fighting means more than you'll ever know for so many families. And I'm trying not to break down because that'll just ruin everything. But
No, but it won't ruin it though, man. That's what this is all about, man. This is real shit. You
No, I
live
know.
this, dude.
It just doesn't sound good on the air, man.
Well,
I'm trying to get at.
remember, everyone's story matters though, and
I know.
that's the thing, man. You
That's
know,
what
it's
all about. I know that. It's just this was
you're
supposed to be about
a
you guys.
blessing, man.
Here I am telling a story, and I just
Yep.
need you to know how important what you're doing actually is.
Well, you know, I appreciate that very much. You know, I've been, fortunate enough to get to know a lot of families, going through things like yourself and, families of veterans that we've lost, to suicide and, or have lost friends, family. And we're a unique group of people in that we understand each other. So,
Yeah.
It's just a blessing to know that the fight I'm in, it is for the people who really need it the most. But it all goes back to selfless service, which is one of our,
One of our cornerstones.
our biggest values, and when you give that oath, which I say that's to be your truth, and that means that for every American in this country, you do what you got to do to defend. And so that spirit doesn't ever leave you. You don't stop being a soldier. The only thing is we're not walking around in camo and there's no threat right now, But all in all, you still want to fight for what is right. And that's what this is, brother.
Yeah.
If only the politicians were like that.
Man, yeah, those guys, they need to just retire. All of them, just
We've got a
retire.
Navy SEAL on Capitol Hill now. That's something.
Oh, dude, I love him. He's fucking
Oh,
great.
yeah.
But,
Oh, yeah. We're
you
getting
and-
there.
You and Danielle need to know how important it is just to our family alone what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we thank you just as much, man. We do, because we're still hurting as a family too, and that's that's the importance of the synchronicity and all this is that we're all,
Yeah.
going through something, but we appreciate each other.
Yeah. All right. Let's get off this
Yeah, man.
this stuff that's dark and depressing. Let's cover the big news. 'Cause, have you done any press at all since then?
I did with Forbes, Forbes magazine.
Okay.
They dropped my statement. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's cover this and
Yeah, man.
get your opinion on it and see where you are hoping that it'll head because You know, it's a government. Who knows? It could all just burn tomorrow. We don't know.
Right. Well,
So,
oh man, this is the crazy part of what I do. This is the human rights activist side of things. Um, you know, so I'm for those who are listening that don't know, I'm part of a lawsuit right now, suing the DEA and the Department of Justice for the full descheduling of cannabis. But I'm not doing it alone. I'm doing it alongside, what I call we're the Justice League. One of my co-plaintiffs is Alexis Bortel. Um, young girls had, epilepsy and, has been seizure free for, I believe, 3 years now. Um, you know, thankfully to cannabis. And then we have Jagger Cott. He's a 7-year-old boy whose father's an amazingly good friend of mine, Sebastian. And Jagger has Lay's disease. And Lay's disease is a terminal illness, which I believe the life expectancy is between 3 and 4 years old. But Jagger just turned 7. And then you have Marvin Washington, another good friend of mine. He, former NFL player, Super Bowl champion, advocating on, the business side of things as a minority and things of that nature. And you have the Canna Cultural Association, so it's a nonprofit of, diverse group. And, so we all kind of formed this front. And, last year we were suing Jeff Sessions until he, resigned, and now it's William Barr. So with that, February 14, 2018, our lawsuit had its first hearing in federal court, which is, a monumental feat in itself. And, it's crazy, you're in the highest court in the land, and you walk in, and the front row is my legal team, and then, my plaintiff's right next to me, and my wife. And right in front of you walks the Department of Justice, and you're like, this is it? You guys, these like 28, 29-year-old attorneys, and it dawned on me. I'm like, this is such bullshit, and so in that court hearing, it was something to see in that the federal judge was
if
no
I may interject
bias.
with that,
Huh?
if I may interject,
Yeah.
the reason that the DOJ and the DEA sent these 28, 29-year-old attorneys in is because never in history has a federal judge ever even questioned the scheduling system, and it's always just been side on, we're going to side with the federal government, and that was that. So.
Yeah, no, it's all hypocrisy, man. So we had that court date in New York City, and the judge really, slammed the Department of Justice with some incredible questions. And, I thought that there was going to be this bias, and that we were going to kind of get, shafted. But, we got hit hard too, with the questioning, but, my lawyers were ready. Michael Hiller, was defending with fact articulation, and it really put the Department of Justice in an awkward position because Judge Hellerstein, he says, he asked them a question, and he says, how is not a life-saving medicine when you have 3 plaintiffs in this lawsuit, that are using cannabis to survive, and Jagger, Alexis, and myself. And it was incredible. You could hear a pin drop. And the Department of Justice said, we can't. So the first time, really, in history, the Department of Justice couldn't argue with the fact that the plaintiffs that are suing you have the medical records and capacity to prove why you're wrong. So that was a huge win in itself. he deferred us to the Second Circuit Court, and we had that court date in December 2018. We had to present against 3 federal judges. And again, this is in Manhattan. It's just crazy. It's kind of like on television. You're in the courtroom and, you're facing 3 historic, federal judges. And there again, you're having to plead your case. Why should this case not be dismissed like every other case that has, challenged the CSA? And one of the judges decided to reserve judgment. And when they decided that basically said that we know what it is, basically, because they were hitting the Department of Justice with, your argument is outdated, because the DOJ kept going back to the 70s, and one of the judges was citing the former DEA, head, that once he resigned was explaining that cannabis is fine. So he was basically challenging the Department of Justice as to their deferment to the petition process, that if, they do defer to that DEA process, that's a death sentence for the plaintiffs in the lawsuit, because the DEA has up to 9 years to respond. So the crazy thing is, fast forward from December, because the judges, decided to review the case instead of. And the longer it took for us to hear about an update, the better. And I think a lot of people in December were like, oh man, we want to hear about it in January. But it's explaining how the legal system works. And especially in a case as monumental as this one. So from December until Thursday this week, we got the damn, I get a group text with all my plaintiffs, all my lawyers, because they said it's just going to come like a lightning bolt out of nowhere on a Thursday morning. Oh, hey, we got the judgment. Oh, shit. Okay. Breaking news,
Yeah.
And so we get it, and I'm reading it, and Michael Hiller, he's explaining it all, and he does a really good job of explaining it in layman's terms. So when it said that, the court denied to, the denial set forth by the DEA and the DOJ that they presented, kicked this case to the side, the court said no for the first time in history, and on top of that, if this court case went to trial, it's already written that the Department of Justice and the DEA themselves would have to sit under deposition because we're suing them. So basically they're being held accountable, is what this damn ruling Thursday means.
Yeah.
And the direction of the court, this is a federal court, to the DEA is, with this petition process that's happening, it needs to happen time now, expedited. And the last time a direction as such was given, an example really, is with the Brown versus the Board of Education case, which ended segregation. So the court is demanding them to address this. And because we're coming from such a united front, you have plaintiffs from every ethnicity, every background, different illnesses. I mean, you have children, you have veterans. That's what this all means. And each plaintiff is a representation of the people.
Yeah.
That's why I always, whenever I have any opportunities to speak in the media as such, this ain't about Jose Belen. Shit, this is about, the millions of Americans that are invisible to the government.
Yeah.
That's what this lawsuit means. It's like, hey, the ones that you shun to the side, they have a voice now. And the voice that we have is with evidence of just complete lack of truth to your own people. Lies, death, incarcerations, pain, generations destroyed. Why? For money, for power, self-preservation. Not right. So that's why I'm hoping that this lawsuit just has so much pressure, and I called for it in the statement I put out to Forbes. I urge the DEA and the Department of Justice to settle the case now. Because if not, how many more Americans have to die? That's what I want to know. I want to ask William Barr, sir, how many more Americans will die today? Every hour. Veterans, active duty. Why? Why not allow CBD within your active ranks when they're experiencing a suicide epidemic? Because when we break our back or when we're going through things, we're given the same pills that were given out of service. That's why the Marine Corps seen an increase in suicides last year that they've never seen before.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why this lawsuit is so important. So Thursday, we got the news that the DEA has been directed to act with speed on this.
Yeah.
So that's the big deal,
Yeah. I needed that. I needed that smile. I really did.
Yeah, man. It's too late for them. It's at the point where it's like, stop it. You ever you see a baseball game, the mercy rule?
Yeah.
It's like, just stop, man. Stop the fighting.
Oh.
Just stop. Figure it out.
Just so that people out there that are wondering whether or not, cannabis would ruin a soldier, I'm not going to put names out there. But D and I served with one guy who had more Article 15s than anyone I've ever met because he smoked. And he was an outstanding fucker.
Yeah.
This man was fucking outstanding.
Yeah.
But
you talking about Mr. Louisiana?
yes, I am.
All right.
Yes, I am. And that motherfucker is awesome.
He's a badass, man.
That guy knew his job inside and out. And that right there tells you it don't fucking affect your job. So I'd rather somebody smoking than drinking. I'll tell you that right now. Except for behind the wheel of a car. But, yeah.
I'm saying.
All right. We're going to, before we get to the close off, let's share a story real quick. And
yeah.
I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go with golf or if I'm going to go with Europa Park.
Oh, man. Dude, the Europa Park one is good, man, because Moore was there with us that day.
Oh, shit. That was a good day, man.
Yeah.
So
I have the picture of all of us, man. Me, you, Holland, Moore.
Yeah, I got that. I sent it to you, brother.
Yeah.
I sent you that, and the one with us on the roller coaster, and the one with us drinking in the bar.
I have the one of us on the bus, like both giving the middle finger, and then you just see Moore.
I got that one too.
Yeah, man. No, that was a special day, man. Yeah, let's tell that story, man.
So, B wasn't going to be on this trip.
No.
We had all signed up beforehand. We'd all signed up with this MWR program. And it was a random trip. And this is before, we were going to Iraq. We didn't know nothing of this.
Yeah.
And Afghanistan was underway, but we'd already been denied that. And we were all pissed off. We were like, hell with it, whatever. And
little did we know we were part of they were prepping us for the real shit.
Oh, so, and we had 2 extra tickets. And this guy named Lewis ended up taking one of them. I don't know what the hell happened to him. He's off somewhere doing whatever. I hope he's good.
Shit. Yeah.
And one of our friends runs up to B's room, knocks on the door, and he goes, "Let me take a, what'd you call it, a Puerto Rican shower?"
Oh shit! Yeah, yeah. Let me get some of that body spray real quick.
He whipped out the
Yeah,
baby
man.
wipe, flicked his ass off,
Oh shit!
put on the body spray, and ran down to the bus. He had 7 minutes.
This
to
is
get
the
back
good
there.
stuff about the military, man. No one gets offended by that shit.
Nope. And no, B and I had hung out at this point. We had hung out before. We played some games. We bullshit. But B was only in the unit for a few weeks at this point.
Yeah, it's before I met Rodas.
Yeah. And
Take care of him.
so he's on the bus, and we're just bullshitting away, having a good time on this 4-hour bus ride, or 3-hour bus ride, whatever, down to Rust. And I had brought 2 of these huge 3-liter bottles of Coke, and only half of those bottles were Coke. The other half was Jack, so we were all kind of lit by the time we got
Oh
there.
yeah.
And well, we were going on rides, and I got pictures of us on this one roller coaster. We've all got our fingers up, and I dressed as I don't even know what my style was back then. I don't know if it was rock or goth or what the hell.
You had them Jenkos, man.
Yeah, I had Jenkos, but I also had the spike collar and the spike.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
Spike bracelet.
Yeah, dude.
And my
That's why I liked you, man. I really never hung out, with any like gothic folks and stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm,
shit.
I don't care about anything, so I hang out. That's why you were just cool, man. You were very self-expressive, and you didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, why should I? In fact, I used to have this
Exactly.
huge thing, this huge thing that covered my entire forearm.
Yeah,
So
man.
it was full of spikes and chains. Somebody
Yeah.
broke into my room and stole that damn thing. Anyhow, so we're in Rust, and we decided that we were going to hit all 25 bars inside of this amusement park while we were taking rides, and we damn near hit it. I think we hit like 22 that day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
beers only come in a liter.
Yep.
Well, tell you what, artillerymen can drink.
Oh yeah.
And we drank. And this is on top of 1.5 liters of Jack. So we took 4 guys.
Yep.
So,
That's that life, boy. That's that. Do you remember there was always someone at the end of the day after formation, someone was already at the PX buying the beer and the liquor?
I didn't have to. I stocked up at the beginning of the week, man.
Hell yeah. There was always some crazy ass go to PX.
And if I had to, I went up there on my lunch break and bought my liquor.
Oh yeah, man. No, yeah.
But
good old Geeson, man.
yeah, we ended up running into, let's see here, Sergeant First Class Hampton, and I think it's Sergeant First Class Harwood.
Harewood? Chief. Oh, Harewood, yeah, Sergeant Harewood.
Yep, he's Sergeant First Class now, if I remember correct. We ran into a couple of the guys that have all made E7 or E8 by now and retired out. We ran into everybody that came on that bus trip at one point or another, and we got pictures with all of them. And half that day's a blur because I was blitzed. But man, those pictures, I look back on them and they hurt, but at the same time, I'm glad I have them. So, yeah, man.
Well, I tell you, I had like this epiphany or whatever you call it, and talk about my wife. My wife and I always kind of just have really in depth and meaningful conversations, and
That's the way it should be.
I told her not too long ago. I said, you know what, Danielle, the affliction of a combat vet when it comes to service and the nightmares and the thoughts, I said, we can do as much therapy as we need to. We can go through as many programs and be as successful as we can. I said, but those dreams and those thoughts are sometimes necessary for us because our friends are still alive there.
Yeah.
When I have those nightmares and stuff, I still can at least hear Moore's voice.
Yeah.
We can at least, and so that's the trade-off of why we try so hard to walk through life with the pain that we do, but sometimes it just hurts too much, and you just got to clock out. But we can't, because that's not what Moore would want, or anyone.
No, I got to bring something up that's important, and I talked about it last time I had a gunner on the show. And Moore was one of those. In fact, it was Wainwright. The closest gunner of anyone to Moore. He called in on Memorial Day to share a story. And Moore was that guy that we all loved him. But he was the closest thing to a blood brother any of us had. He could piss you off at the drop of a hat, and then you'd be cool within a couple hours to the next day. And you know what I'm talking about, don't you? That man could piss you off to the end of the earth, but you'd be cool before.
Good old Nub.
Yep. He'd piss you off because he was that close to being a true family that he just really knew how to grind you. But at the same time, you know that you're family.
Right.
Something that gets me, man. It haunts me to this day. The day they were shipping me out, do you remember what I asked you to do? You probably don't.
No, man. My memories.
I was so pissed off at Moore, man. I was fucking furious. I asked you to play that song from Godsmack.
Oh yeah.
It says, "I fucking hate you," and let Moore know I meant it for him. But I didn't hate him. I was just pissed off at him for that 5 fucking minutes because he said some smart ass shit to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it haunts me, man. Because I can never. You get it. You'll know. You and every other vet out there knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, this is the thing with combat, man. This is what people don't understand. This is shit that fucks with the vet. That conversation you're having with me, man, you have that conversation, I'm sure, a couple hundred times in your fucking mind every day. Or at least every other day. And my survivor skill is similar. And then, Moore was my roommate, my best friend. Yeah. And, we had gone through a lot together. And, the morning he got hit, I don't know if you remember, but we had that QRF shift, and we had a briefing that we were going out on an op later in the day, and they assigned the teams. And remember that revolving day off?
Yep, I sure do.
That was my day off that morning, and I remember the last thing I asked Stuart, I said, "Man, you okay? You're so quiet." And he wasn't feeling good that morning. Last words he ever told me was he had a headache, and that's when I went to go to sleep, and I woke up, went downstairs to have fucking breakfast, and then all of a sudden, comms room door slams and it's QRF, and then I was on QRF, so I was the lead gunner, and fucking I get to the fucking lead Humvee, I'm in the hatch, and we're not rolling out. You know us, man. We're like a bunch of wild Apaches, man. It's like you let us loose and say we're coming, but we weren't rolling. And then, I look around and I don't see certain faces. And I'm like, well, where's Wainwright? Where's Moore? And that's where they changed the time of the op, and they didn't want to wake you up because it was your day off.
Yep.
And then that's when it came over to radio that we had 2 or 3 KIA.
Yep.
And that was Stuart, Lieutenant Saltz, and our interpreter Nasser.
Yeah.
Hey, did you ever hear Nasser was a narc, man? That he was a bad guy?
Yep.
Good.
That's
why he got blown up in the whole shit.
He was involved. Yeah, he was involved in the planning of that fucking IED.
Good. Were you there when they brought his body back and they had it in the motor pool wrapped? Yeah. Yeah, they brought his fucking body to the motor pool wrapped in Muslim tradition. And I just remember, talk about shit that haunts you.
I left a few days before shit hit the fan. there's a couple of things that haunt me. One, believe it or not, I know this may not make sense to you, but it's that fucking fight that we had you were playing fucking PS2 or Xbox or whatever. That shit fucking, it haunts me, man. It just does.
Right.
It doesn't make sense, but it does.
Right.
Another one is Eads. I gave him so much shit, and then
Oh, man.
got shot.
Yeah.
Another one is being pissed off at more.
Yeah, man, but
No, there's nothing I can do about it. I've come to terms with that, but it's just one of those things. It's
of course, man. But the shit, man. The shit is with what we went. We're like, I try to explain to people. It's like our souls are still in Baghdad, man.
Yeah, well,
You die out there.
Goss puts his name on every KIA list that.
That's what I'm saying.
His name's on the memorial wall. Did you know that? On Daycare podcast, his name is on a memorial wall, and I read it.
I love that dude, man. We're gonna actually start working together once Mission Zero's, membership program we're working on. It's almost done, and
He's finally going to be on the show.
Start partnering. We have chapters that are going to come out throughout the country, and I'm tapping Goss to be our chapter lead out in Texas. So
good shit. He's
but yeah, no, I appreciate being on the podcast, man, and being able to share this stuff. It's important,
Yeah. Just please pass on the word. I ask everybody of this that comes on before we start doing a wrap up, our usual heads up wrap up. Pass on the word to anybody that's listening that wants to, that's willing. We'll take any veteran. Doesn't matter what era they are. World War II through freaking right now that they're currently serving. They can come on the show and they can share their stories. This is a memory for today. All right?
Well, what I would like to say, before we wrap up, is that please understand that when I tell my story, it's to inspire anybody out there that feels that their story doesn't matter. And don't look at yourself as mentally ill because society wants to tell you are. Look at yourself as mentally strong because you're still here. So my hope is that if you're listening, you seek and find inspiration in Nate telling his story in this conversation, then start telling yours to your friends because you're going to inspire people too. And I think the more we do that, that's how we all help each other because it's just all going to come back. We're all connected in some way.
And you're always welcome here to tell your story. We will gladly record it so it doesn't disappear. That's what we're here for.
And if you want to get involved with Mission Zero, please visit our website, www.missionzero.us. Send us an email. We are going to go ahead and start rolling out a country-wide chapter program. We're starting with Seattle, Washington in August of this year. Then we're looking to do Texas before the end of this year. And here in Florida, we have some significant ops that are about to launch as well.
Outstanding. All right. Hey, Nick.
What's up?
You want to start up with the wrap up?
Yep.
Start with the wrap up, or should I start it?
I'll get it.
All right.
All right. So we're wrapping it up. Thanks everyone for listening. Make sure that you reach out to a brother or sister you served with, and get in contact with them, talk to them a little bit, make sure they're okay, make sure everyone's doing good.
Yeah, we had one of our own admin that was missing for 4 days, and I had to track her down so I could make sure she was all right. That's what our job is.
It's in the window.
You don't leave the battle. I hate that term, but you don't leave the man next to you to defend for himself. So don't do it now.
Yeah.
Don't do it. All right, everybody, reach out, check on your friends, especially everyone.
Oh yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Danielle,
take
I
care,
appreciate
brother.
it very much.
And you're welcome back anytime, and spread the word. We want those stories down here, man.
Oh yeah, no Daycare,
That is-
podcast. You guys are doing it right, So if you're listening, please keep up with these guys. You guys are a blessing. So I'm thanking you both.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. You're one of our inspirations,
Oh yeah.
honestly. All right, bro.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, everyone have a good night.